Unbound is different. We don't know all the answers. We don't expect you to know all the answers, but we think we can get really good at asking questions. So there's this culture of constant learning and a culture of humility combined with a sense of real action.
Hello, and welcome to the Arts of Language podcast with Andrew Pudewa, founder of the Institute for Excellence in Writing, or as many like to say, IEW. My name is Julie Walker, and I'm honored to serve Andrew and IEW as the Chief Marketing Officer. Our goal is to equip teachers and teaching parents with methods and materials which will aid them in training their students to become confident and competent communicators and thinkers.
Well, welcome to our podcast. It's a little bit different today because my co-host, Julie Walker, is not with me. So I have to do the hello to everybody. She's actually away visiting her very elderly mother, and I'm glad she has a chance to do that. And because I wouldn't know what to talk about if I didn't have someone to talk with, I am extremely happy to invite my good friend, Jonathan Brush of Unbound, to talk with me a little bit about the world of young people that he lives in and Unbound and what they're doing, and maybe touch on a little bit of how AI is affecting the world of younger students today, and what are some really good options to the normal kind of go to high school, graduate from high school, go to college track that so many people seem to be locked into. So, hailing from Virginia, Jonathan Brush, welcome to the Arts of Language podcast.
Well, thank you, Andrew. It's always an honor to be on the podcast, and it's always fun to talk to you. So I'm looking forward to whatever we have come up in our discussion today. Thanks for having me.
So, for some of our listeners who may not be familiar with Unbound, can you give just a brief introduction to yourself, your family, what Unbound is, why are we actually such good friends, and give a little context to our conversation?
I might be able to do the first part in a couple of seconds, but the last part about why we're such good friends may be longer than we have podcast time for. So we'll have to abbreviate that a little bit. I get the honor and privilege of being the president and CEO of Unbound. I do live in Virginia. I'm married. I'm a homeschool graduate. We've homeschooled our children. We have 8 children, and that's a story in and of itself. And Unbound trains young adults to thrive. And we do that primarily by helping them figure out what's next, train them in marketable skills, and surround them with a great community. And if that sounds like a cool job, it is, because I get to work with some really, really interesting and amazing young adults with a phenomenally great staff. And even cooler, it puts me in proximity to people like Andrew Pudewa, who I get to meet and then become friends with. And we get to spend time talking, sometimes being recorded on podcasts and other times just sitting around a table somewhere. And that makes me way smarter than I would have been otherwise. And that's at least one of the reasons why it's so much fun to be good friends with Andrew Pudewa.
Tell us a little bit about how the Unbound program works. I think some people maybe have never heard of it, and I could give my 2 bits, but you would be the best person to explain the whole structure of, who comes and what they do and enrollment and then events that I've been to a few of over the past few years.
Absolutely. So there's a progression here. If you are interested in Unbound, we can help you starting in 9th grade. We offer a high school curriculum that kind of interacts with any curriculum that you're doing and teaches all those practical skills that are sort of non-academic. And you can go to beunbound.us to learn about that. And then that walks its way into our Ascend program, which is kind of our flagship post-high school program. And in all of those things, we say we train young adults to thrive. And I mentioned this earlier. When we say that, we have a particular idea about what it means to thrive. But the question people ask is, well, how do you do that? And what we've found is that because of things like technology and AI disrupting a lot of stuff, young people are going, boy, I don't really know how to take this next step. And it's not because they're ill-equipped or they're not smart or anything like that. It's often like, man, the world looks really complicated all of a sudden. And there's a real interesting dichotomy between it looks like everything's possible and maybe nothing's possible. And so in all of our programs, and particularly in Ascend, we work really hard to say, look, we don't have the answers for you, but we can train you and teach you to ask the kind of questions who'll help you navigate these big decision points. And then we say, no matter where you go, no matter what AI or technology does, there's some core transferable skills that you need to make your way in the world professionally and personally, no matter what. And let's focus in on train really hard on those. And we'll do that through project-based education where you're doing real things and you're learning these real skills. And then finally, and most importantly, let's surround you with a community of people that will uphold you and encourage you and push you and support you. And honestly, our goal is that they create a network that you can benefit from for the rest of your life. So Ascend, for example, our post-high school program, you can enter Ascend if you don't know what you want to do and want to figure it out. You can use Ascend as a gap year program between whatever you're doing next. You can use Ascend as a credential that'll help you get employed even if you don't get a college degree. And you can use Ascend as a program that'll help you earn up to 90 credits that will transfer into the college that you're targeting and help you kind of launch into that. And so that's what Unbound does. And it attracts students who go, that's interesting. I'd like to do something different. And that attracted means that we have a really exceptional community. So in Ascend, we deliver the courses online so you can participate wherever you are and stay engaged in your local community. But 4 times a year, as Andrew mentioned, we will fly you every 12 weeks to one of our events. And that'll be a very intense week-long experience. And that's where you get to really meet people and do some exciting things together. And that's where a lot of those connections in that community is formed. And you might even run into Andrew at a couple of those events.
I would love an excuse to come to another Unbound event. I think I've been to an Ascend, to a base camp, maybe more than one. I was so completely overwhelmed by the awesomeness of the students I met at the first event I went to. I've talked to hundreds, thousands of audiences over the years, adults, teenagers, kids. And I remember the first talk that I gave, and there wasn't a single young person looking at a screen or a phone or a tablet or anything. They actually had notebooks with pens in their hand, taking notes, eyes locked on me except when they were writing. No side conversation, none of the stuff that's so typical of young adults in general audiences. And then the quality of the questions that I had afterwards and the continuing conversation, on the campus, wherever we were and at meals. And I just thought, I don't know that I have ever been in a place with a couple hundred of such top caliber young people. That was my impression. And I've been back several times to different events, and it's always been the same. So, one question I have for you is, how do you do this? How do you collect or nurture this type of exceptional attentiveness and thoughtfulness in the young people that are attending your programs?
Andrew, I asked that question so many times. And so I think that the most honest way I can to reply to that is to say, we pray a lot and God is very gracious. And so what I mean by that is that I'm very reluctant to take much credit for the kind of people we attract to the community. It's not to say that we think that we have nothing to do with it. It's just that again and again, we see the kind of connection and community that's formed at those events, and then through our classes and through extension, the broader alumni community, as nothing less than something ordained and blessed by God. And so there's definitely that. The second part of that is that, let's just be really honest here. Unbound is different. And I think different is good. And I mean, that just defines my life. I mean, I was homeschooled. We homeschool our children. At one point we had the conversation with our kids that said, if you ever wonder if you were raised to be weird, the answer is yes. You can decide later whether you think that you're good with that or not. But at least you know that it was deliberate. And so there's a difference here. And so people that choose to do something different, ironically, have something in common. They think a little differently, right? And so when you put those people in and say, hey, I did something different, and you say, oh, you did too, there's sort of an immediate bond that forms. And then the next part is, I think what happens at Unbound that is a bit unique is that Unbound assumes a questions-based paradigm, that we don't know all the answers. We don't expect you to know all the answers, but we think we can get really good at asking questions, which will put us in a good place to ask a better question and find a better answer, and continuing on. So there's this culture of constant learning and a culture of humility combined with a sense of real action. I said it's project based. The heart of our program is students doing real projects. First year students take an idea from an idea to reality. Second year students take somebody else's idea from an idea to reality. Third year students work with a team to take an idea from an idea to reality. That emphasis on action combined with this questions based humility means that you have a culture of people who are learning together, but are committed to getting things done. And that all happens in a context where we're quite serious about our faith. And so we think we're serving something higher and we have something that we need to submit to. And that creates an interesting culture then that, as you've experienced, Andrew, is I think quite extraordinary. And I'll just say for me, it has been addictive. I have reordered my life to spend time with these students and to be able to be with them. And it has been one of the most rewarding and exciting things that God has ever enabled for me to do.
The projects are always so interesting to me. I was in a very, very, very remote place, Galena, Alaska, and there was a school there that took in students. It was a boarding school. They took them from all over Alaska. And these were kids that really had not had much quality in terms of their earlier education. But the guy who started it was very much into this idea of project-based education. And I went there and I taught a group about, I think it was about 40 there at the time. And I had this same kind of experience where they were so engaged. Of course, a completely different demographic. And they all wanted to tell me about their projects and what they had learned in the process. And this idea that, and I've said this in conference talks many times, that when you give young people a chance to go deep into something, whether it's, competitive speech and debate or study or an internship or starting a business, they learn kind of the subjects of it. They learn the history of it. They learn the economics, and they learn the vocabulary, the politics, the science of it. What are some of the projects that your students have done, in the first year, second year, third year? Because I think that's right there is a window into the uniqueness of the opportunity.
Well, this is really built into the fabric of what we do, and especially the Ascend program. Now, just to be clear, we do projects in our high school programs as well. But this kind of comes into full fruition in our high school program, in our Ascend program, apologies. And the way that works is that from the very beginning, we want people focused on doing practical things. Now, I always am cautious to say here, we believe deeply in people learning academic things and being learners and having knowledge. But we often have the advantage of people that have come through learning writing from IEW and have come through some really good curriculum places and schooling. And so they have a good solid base. And what we get a chance to do is say, now let's take that deep thinking ability and let's apply it to actually doing stuff. So this would be the way it would work. You would come to our first initial event in Apex and you kind of get oriented for the next 12 weeks. Then you come to base camp, and one afternoon at base camp, your team will work together to do a project that you chose, and you have an afternoon to do it. And so last year at base camp, we had a group that put together an entire blueprint and materials list for a tiny house and designed a tiny house and built it. They just designed it. We had another group that built a retreat center in the woods just for the duration of this event for people to go and have prayer time. We had another group that decided to survey a pond that was on the property that we were in to see how deep it was and to actually have like a topographical map of the depth of the pond. And, you ask, what is the point of that? Well, the point was the challenge. They wanted to try it, right? And so then at base camp, we challenged them and say, if you had a week together, especially 3 full days to work on a project, what would it be? And so for part of that event, they work on coming up with those projects. And that's important because as we come into Ridgeline, which is our next event, we'll actually greenlight top 10 projects students choose. And we will greenlight any project students choose. And they will do those in 3 days in Florida for our Ridgeline project. So this year we had a group of students who cooked all the food for Ridgeline, including, so they did all the food service for us. They built a pizza oven and served pizza one night. They had another group of students that caught enough fish. They chartered a boat and went and caught enough fish to feed the entire camp with fish chowder one evening. We had a group build a trebuchet and launched a 10-pound medicine ball 100 yards down the beach, and that's as fun as it sounded. We had a group that fabricated and built a flywheel pedal car. We had a group that put together an a cappella program and took it to some nursing homes in the area. And so we have those kinds of projects happening. And then that's all preparation for each student doing their individual project, where first year students are doing an idea from an idea to reality. Second year somebody else's idea, third year working as a team. And just some examples of that. We've had students restore cars, run marathons, start businesses, put on fundraisers for events that they care about as first year projects. Second year students are often doing something either related to the work that they're doing in their communities, or they're working on third year students projects. And some of the fun third year student projects we've had is things like people shooting, editing, and actually producing a feature film that will actually be going to some film festivals this year, working on a nonprofit that is developing a writing curriculum so people can write letters to each other as a way to kind of react against the kind of screen addiction that we have. It's that kind of vibrancy then that goes throughout the entire program, where you have people from the very beginning practically thinking about how can we dream up something and then do it. And that's the part, Andrew, that I get super excited and get really just wound up about, is watching those things happen.
It's almost hard to believe unless you see it. And I've only seen the glimpse of it, but you get to live it. And as I listen to you talk and reflect on my experiences there, I'm reminded of one of the greatest teachers of, I have to say, the last century. It sounds weird, but my teacher, Dr. Shinichi Suzuki, I lived in Japan for 3 years and studied violin, but people ask me, what was that like? And it's hard to say, but the thing that always stands out to me the most is that he just believed in people. He believed in me. He believed in children. He believed in everyone, that we could just do, amazing things, that we could all be great teachers. And I think that's one of the things that I pick up from you and from your team at Unbound is you really just do believe in these young people. And there's something so powerful about being believed in when the whole world is kind of like, we can't believe in anything, let alone ourselves.
I think we get excited about having high expectations, and we deliberately build filters into the program to make sure that we have to believe in students. And if that sounds a little strange, let me give you an example. Our initial event, that everybody will go to if they're part of Apex or part of our Explore program, which is our program for high school seniors, is called Apex. And just to be candid with your audience, if a student has a bad experience at Apex, they will disenroll from the program. So the survival of our program depends on Apex being done really well. Apex is designed, planned completely and totally by a group of 7 to 8 students. They're called the National Student Cabinet. We appoint them every year in about January. They work their hearts out from January to August to do this event. When I say they do everything, I mean they charter the buses to get kids from the airport. They build the speaker program. They sign the contracts with speakers and choose the speakers. They build the events. They figure out the programs. They build the schedule. They take care of the housing. They do everything. And so what that means is that we have to believe deeply in students, and we have to train them really well to do a great job, or we're sunk. And so every year the cabinet exceeds our expectations, right? We commit at base camp. We will greenlight the top 10 voted on projects from students. And so then we're committed to helping those students get those projects done. And when I say helping, I don't mean like we're doing them. I mean, we're training and coaching and saying, you committed to this. When we hit Florida, you got to go. And, I've run trailers full of welders and construction material and all kinds of crazy things on our way to Florida, wondering how's this going to work. We've had students buy cars that weren't working and fix them and repair them and give them away before we left in 3 days. And so there's an expectation there of something great. And then at the end of it all, we say, if you can do 1, 2, or 3 years in Ascend, whatever works best for you. But if you do 3 years, we guarantee employment at a salary that's higher than a college degree in your area, regardless of whether you have college credit or college degree or not.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because it's a rather unique guarantee. We guarantee everything we sell. If you don't like it, send it back. But you're saying essentially we guarantee the qualification and the success of students in the real world job market. And I think you mentioned to me once that you've got a bunch of employers that are just waiting for you to send them people. Is that true?
I had 80 open positions after we had our class employed last year. That guarantee. So we guarantee you are employed, or we'll refund all 3 years of your tuition. Again, to be transparent, we can't afford that, which means that we have to get this right. But we do that for 2 reasons. Well, I would say 3 reasons. First, we have a high caliber student coming in. So, we're betting on good people. Second, we have a phenomenal alumni network who wants to hire our students. And third, we do have a great confidence in our ability to take exceptional young people and say, if I teach you these transferable skills, you are going to be desirable in the job market. But we like that pressure that we have to really pay attention and really focus in on delivering things of value. And Andrew, I think it's unique in the post high school market. I've not run into anybody else that's willing to take that risk, but I will tell you that nobody's ever asked for a refund.
That is astounding, and it's certainly something that no major university could possibly offer. I guess, I wish we had more time to talk about all sorts of, how is AI moving into the lives of your students? How are they navigating that world? Obviously, we in the world of research writing, expressing ideas in words, are dealing with that. But what is the best way for people to understand more about what you offer and how to, move in the direction of enrolling a young student? I will tell you, I just want to tell everyone out there listening, if this program had existed when my son was 16 or 17, I would have absolutely done it 100%. I think it would have been the best possible choice I could have made. And either you weren't doing it then or I didn't know about it, but I can't think of a better option for so many young people, almost all young people today. So what's the best way for them to get the full scoop on what Unbound can be in their lives?
Well, first of all, if this sounded intriguing to you, I would be a little, uncharacteristically aggressive and say, you should do this. If you don't know what to do next, we can help you with that. If you want to get into the job force, but you don't want to work at fast food the rest of your life, but you don't want to get a college degree, we can help you with that. That guarantee works for you. If you want to get a college degree, but you want to get the transferable skills that'll make that degree useful, this will work for you. And if you want to earn 90 credits that will transfer into a good degree, this will work for you. And to learn more about us, you can do three things. You can go to Be Unbound, that's beunbound.us. Obviously, that's the website. You can learn about us there. If you're interested in the events that we talked about, if you go to our YouTube and look for Be Unbound, you can find wrap-up videos from our events, and you can pretty quickly say, these are my kind of people, or these folks are nuts, and I don't want anything to do with them.
Those are so fun. Those videos are so fun. I at the end of each day, your team, I guess your video, your media team, they work until the wee hours of the morning, and then the very next day they show the video of the previous day. And I just can't say the quality, the joy, the creativity that comes out, it is just astounding. I've not seen anything like that anywhere else, honestly.
Every year when they're editing 20 minutes, they've been up all night editing in 20 minutes before they release it, and they release it, and it looks like a masterpiece. I just am so impressed with the media team. It's fun. And I have a 4-year-old who's addicted to watching those
No
videos.
doubt.
It's like she sees nothing else on screen, but she wants to watch the Apex videos every week. And then finally, and this is just a little plea, in this world of digital and screens and things like that, people are sometimes scared to talk to folks. Look, this is a different kind of program. And we won't put you in this program if we can't help you do what you do, because we guarantee it. It would be disastrous for us if we did that. And so talk to us. You can go to our website and schedule an appointment with us. This is not a twist your arm sales call. This is not a cover you an information call. This is a genuine conversation that says, what do you want to do? And if we can help you do what you want to do, then it's on us to explain it to you in such a way that you go, yes, I'd like to do that. And if we can't help you do what you want to do, we might spend 20 minutes helping you figure out the next best place for you to go. That's the kind of attitude that we have, and we would just love to talk to you. So if you have questions or if you want to find out more about the program, don't be afraid to call us. You can go online. You can actually go online and chat with some of our students, not an AI agent, not somebody in some other country. You go to our website and you go to our chat feature. It's students who are currently enrolled in the program. They'll answer your questions, and we'd be happy to talk to you.
And, I just like to finish up by letting our listeners know it's kind of hard to judge something through a screen just because, what anybody can put on a screen. But I personally know, well, I might know more than two, but the two of your children, Caleb and Caitlin, that I have had significant opportunities to visit with and talk to, they are just absolutely awesome young adults. I can't even begin to praise them in the way that they should be. And if anything, that is just a phenomenal testimony to not just your parenting, but the way that they've come through the program and now, are leaders in the Unbound. And anytime I meet some really awesome 20-something-year-old people, I just think, wow, whatever they did to get here must be a really good thing. And so I have just really enjoyed all of my interactions with Caleb and Caitlin and the rest of your team. It's a fantastic group of people.
Thank you, Andrew. That's gracious of you, and I so much appreciate the compliment. It means a lot from you. I'm obviously biased. They are wonderful people, and it's worth for your audience to hear. While we certainly invested a lot of our lives in them, they have been very much shaped by the Unbound community, and they are a testament to the kind of power that sort of network and that kind of peer group has. And it has been, again, one of the great blessings and joys of our life to be able to be associated with it.
So if you've got, I don't know, high school kid, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, college age, 18, 19, 20, 21, I would just encourage you, look into this as an option, and you may discover it's one of the best, if not the best option for the next step in your young people's education and development and personal growth and formation. So, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining me. We could riff on forever, and I hope that I get to see you again in the not distant future.
I'll be looking forward to that. Thank you so much for having me, Andrew.
Thanks so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please subscribe to our podcast in iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify, or just visit us each week at iew.com/podcasts. Here you can also find show notes and relevant links from today's broadcast. One last thing, would you mind going to iTunes to rate and review our podcast? This really helps other smart, caring listeners like you find us. Thanks so much.